It is the last night of the month, nearly midnight, and you are lying on your back in the dark doing the math one more time. You are not looking at an app. You know the numbers by heart, the way you know the ceiling you are staring at. Rent. The card. That one bill you keep forgetting on purpose. You add it up slowly, as if this time the total might land somewhere kinder. It does not. It comes out the way it always comes out. A little short, a little tight. That familiar knot pulling closed just under your ribs. And here's the part almost nobody says out loud. You are not lazy. You work hard, harder than plenty of people who somehow have more room than you. You do not blow it on anything wild. You skip the coffee, you cancel the subscription, you swear next month is the month. And next month arrives, and you are right back here, in the dark, watching the finish line slide one more quiet step away. So you reach for the only sentence that makes it bearable. I just do not earn enough. If the number were bigger, all of this would dissolve. Hold that thought, because there is something underneath it nobody told you. There are people earning less than you tonight who are quietly getting free. And there are people earning 5 times what you earn who will die tight. So it was never only the number. Being broke is not one big dramatic mistake. It is a set of small, soft habits, and almost every one of them feels like being careful, or being kind to yourself, or finally treating yourself right. They do not look like the enemy. That is exactly why they win. And underneath all 7 of them runs one machine, a loop that feeds on itself, where the tighter money feels, the harder your own brain grabs for the very moves that keep it tight. Tonight I am going to walk you through all 7, and I would be surprised if at least 3 of them are not already living in your life. Stay to the end, because the 7th is the one holding all the others in place, and almost nobody sees it in themselves. This is Money Mind, where we look at the psychology behind every dollar. And I want to promise you something before we go 1 inch further. This is not another finance channel. Nobody here is going to wag a finger at your morning coffee. Because the real reason money stays tight has almost nothing to do with lattes, and almost nothing to do with willpower. Being broke is rarely about the math. It is about the mind running the math. Your brain runs a small handful of habits that feel safe in the exact moment you reach for them, and that quietly bolt you to the spot. I am going to name all 7, and for each one show you the wiring underneath it, why it keeps you broke, and the one small shift that loosens its grip tonight. And there is one line I want you carrying by the time the screen goes black. Broke is a loop, not a number. Say it once, right now, under your breath. Broke is a loop, not a number. A number you can fix in an afternoon. A loop follows you across every raise, every side hustle, every fresh start until you can see it. Subscribe, because this is the channel that hands you the mechanism, not the guilt. Now let me guess the objection already forming in your head. You are thinking it right now. I would be fine if I just earned more. It feels obvious. It feels true. And it is the most expensive lie in your whole money story. Because if the habits stay the same, a bigger income does not carry you out of the loop. It just runs the same loop with bigger numbers. Think of the lottery winners, broke again within a few years, deeper than where they started. The money changed. The person running it did not. Or think of your last raise, how certain you were that this was the one that would finally give you breathing room, and how within 2 months the breathing room was gone, and you could not even say where it went. That was not bad luck. That was the loop, quietly resizing itself to swallow the new number. The habits eat the income. They always eat the income. So the real question was never how do I make more? It is quieter than that. What am I doing, tonight, that keeps me exactly here? Here are the 7 answers. Let us starve the loop, one habit at a time. Start with the one that hides in plain sight, because it looks like the most responsible thing you do. Habit 1. You keep almost everything in cash. It sits in the account where you can see it, and investing feels like standing near a cliff, like handing your money to strangers who might lose it. So you keep it close, and you tell yourself the same promise you told yourself last year. I will invest once I understand it, once it stops feeling scary. Here is the wiring underneath that fear. In the 1970s, 2 psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, measured how loss feels against gain, and they found that losing hurts about twice as hard as winning feels good. Lose $100 and it stings. Win 100 and it feels nice. But the sting is roughly double the nice. They called it loss aversion, and it is not a weakness, it is wiring. Now watch what it does to your money. A possible dip in the market screams in your ear, "Danger, you could lose." Meanwhile, the other loss says nothing at all, because your cash is not sitting still. Every year, inflation quietly shaves a little off what it can buy, in the dark, like a slow leak in a tire you cannot hear. One loss is loud and maybe. The other is silent and certain. So you choose the silent, certain one and call it safety. You feel protected, and you are shrinking the whole time. Reframe. Cash is not safe. It is a slow, silent leak you were taught to feel calm inside. Your one small action tonight? Move one tiny amount you have been hoarding, even $10, somewhere it can actually grow, just to prove to your brain the danger was never as loud as it sounded. And sit with this, because it sets up the next habit perfectly. If you cannot bear to lose money, what do you do when the news is bad? You look away, which brings us to habit 2, and you will recognize it in your body instantly. When money gets frightening, you stop looking. The banking app you scroll straight past, thumb hovering, then gone. The envelope you slide, unopened, under the others in the drawer. The balance you refuse to check before you tap to pay, because not knowing feels softer than knowing. And every time you look away, you get a tiny hit of relief. There is a name for this, and it is backed by real data. In 2009, 3 researchers, Carlson, Lowenstein, and Seppi, studied actual brokerage login records, and they found that when the markets were falling, people logged in to check their accounts far less often. They looked away at the exact moment the news was likely to be bad. When you most need to look, you look least. They named it the Ostrich Effect, head in the sand. And here is the cruel physics of it. The fear of the number is almost always bigger than the number itself. Meanwhile, unwatched, in the dark, the real thing keeps growing, while your imagination paints it 10 times worse than the truth. The monster under the bed is always bigger with the lights off. Reframe. Looking is not the punishment, looking is the exit. The thing you are terrified to look at is almost always smaller than your fear of looking at it. Your one small action tonight? Open the app. Just open it. Do not fix anything, do not judge. Let your eyes land on one real number for 10 seconds, and let your nervous system learn that looking did not kill you. Because you cannot change a number you refuse to see. And most people never start at all, which, funny enough, is the entire next habit. Habit 3, and it is wearing a disguise so good you are going to defend it. You are going to start. Absolutely. Once things settle down, once the debt is gone, once the raise lands, then you will begin investing, begin saving properly. You are not refusing. You are waiting for the right moment. The right moment is the trap. In 2013, 2 researchers, Sendhil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir, mapped what scarcity does to the mind. Scarcity does not just drain your wallet, it taxes your bandwidth. When money feels short, your attention narrows like a flashlight beam onto the crisis right in front of you. This bill, this week, and the whole future drops off the edge of the table. They called it tunneling. And inside that tunnel, the future basically stops existing. You are not lazy about it, you literally cannot see it, because scarcity already spent the mental fuel you would have used to plan it. So scarcity itself, the tightness you are trying to escape, leans in and whispers, "Start later." And later never arrives, because every time later becomes now, you are still inside the tunnel. Notice this is a different trap from hoarding cash. Habit 1 is the fear of losing what you have. Habit 3 is scarcity stealing your ability to think past today at all. Reframe. You do not start because you got rich. You get secure because you started small, tonight, before you felt ready. Ready is the reward, not the requirement. Your one small action tonight. Move $5 into savings this evening, while it is still awkward and too small to matter. The amount is not the point. Proving the future is real is the point. Which leads straight into the habit that feels less like a choice and more like a reward you have earned. Now we hit the halfway point, and this is exactly where these lists usually lose you. So stay close, because habit 4 is the one people defend the hardest. You had a brutal day. You are tired. You are stretched. You did everything right and still came up short. And a voice says, gently, kindly, you deserve this. So you buy the thing. The treat, the delivery, the little upgrade. Not recklessness, relief. And here is why it grips you so hard. Remember the tunneling. Under that pressure, a small relief right now feels enormous, and the cost, far away in the future, feels invisible. The stress makes the treat feel huge, and it hides the price tag. So you reach for it precisely on the days you can least afford it. Now hear me clearly, because this is not about guilt. On your hardest days, when you tell yourself you are treating yourself, you are often taxing yourself. You are borrowing tiny slivers of relief from a future you who is already stretched thinner than you are, and the pain does not vanish, it gets forwarded, with interest, to someone who is also you. And notice how this differs from the one coming next. This habit numbs your own private feeling. It is not for anyone else. Reframe. Real self-care is the version of you 6 months from now who can breathe. Your one small action tonight. The next time the I deserve it urge hits, name the feeling out loud first. I am stressed, I am tired, and wait 10 minutes before you buy. Half the time the feeling, not the thing, was what actually needed handling. And you can feel the loop tightening now, because the more you tax the future, the tighter next month gets, which sets up the habit that looks like the smart way out. So you decide to fix it the way everybody tells you to. Earn more. Pick up the shift, start the side hustle, chase the promotion. This is habit 5, and it fools the hardest working people alive, because it is dressed as your best quality. More income does come in, and still, none of it stays. Watch the pattern. As the income climbs, the lifestyle climbs right beside it. A slightly nicer place, a slightly better car, small upgrades that feel completely earned. But 2 months after the raise it is gone, and you are standing in the same tightness, just with bigger numbers around you. Spending quietly expands to fill whatever income you feed it. A bucket with a hole in the bottom never fills, no matter how fast you pour, it just gets louder. Reframe, and let this land hard. You do not have an earning problem, you have a keeping problem. And no raise on earth fixes a keeping problem, because the hole scales up right alongside the income. So stop obsessing over the stream pouring in, and start guarding the gap between what comes in and what stays. That gap has a name. That gap is wealth. It is the only thing that has ever been wealth. Your one small action tonight. Set up a single automatic transfer, even 1% of what you earn, that widens that gap before you can spend it, so willpower never has to show up. But there is a reason you keep widening your life to match the income, and it is not really about you. It is about who you are watching. Which brings us to habit 6, and this one is almost invisible because everyone around you is doing it too. You are keeping pace. Not with the truly wealthy, with the people right beside you, the coworker in the new car, the friend whose holidays look, online, like a life you are somehow failing at. So you reach a little further than you should, just so you do not feel the cold draft of being left behind. But lean in close, because this is the saddest secret in the whole video. The people you are measuring yourself against are, so often, drowning just as quietly as you are. They are matching someone else, who is also drowning, who is matching someone else. It is drowning people all the way down. What you are actually buying is not wealth, it is the costume of wealth, worn by people who cannot afford the costume either. It is a race where the prize is going broke faster than the person next to you. And notice how this differs from the treat. Habit 4 numbs a private feeling. Habit 6 performs for an audience. Reframe. Almost nobody who looks rich is actually rich. Real wealth is quiet. It almost never looks like anything. It is the calm of an account you are not afraid to open. The person truly winning usually looks a little boring. Your one small action tonight. Pick the one purchase you know you are only making to be seen, and pause just that one this week. Feel how little the world actually notices. And once you can see that clearly, you are ready for the last one, because habits 1 through 6 all sit on top of a single foundation, and this 7th habit is the one quietly powering every other one on the list. Here it is, the root, the seed under the other 6. And it is not a spending habit at all. It is a sentence. 4 words you have probably said, maybe out loud, maybe just to yourself. I am bad with money. It sounds harmless. It even sounds humble. It is the most expensive sentence you own. Because the moment money becomes who you are, instead of something you do, every other habit locks into place and calls itself destiny. Why look at the account if you are just bad with money? Why start? Why guard the gap if the outcome is already baked into who you are? So the belief reaches down and proves itself. You act broke because you have decided you are broke, and staying broke hands the belief its evidence, and the evidence hardens the belief. There it is, the loop closed into a perfect circle, quietly switching on all 6 habits above it. And now the part I promised would be honest. There is an entire economy that needs you to keep believing that sentence. Buy now, pay later, built for the version of you that cannot wait. The overdraft fee waiting at the bottom of the account. 1,000 ads a day whispering that you are one purchase away from finally feeling like enough. The loop is not only in your head, it has sponsors, and they are not your friends. Reframe. You were never bad with money. You were running habits nobody ever named for you, and a habit you can name is a habit you can change. So here is how you break it, and I promised you a mechanism, not a mountain. Do not try to fix all 7 tonight. You cannot, and trying is just the loop in a new mask, telling you it is too big, so you do nothing. Instead, go back through the 7 and find the one that stung. You already know which one it was. It named you. Something in your chest went, quietly, "Oh, that is me." Reverse just that single one, this week. If it was hoarding cash, move $10 into something that grows. If it was the ostrich, open the app once and read the real number. If it was waiting to start, move $5 today. If it was, "I deserve it," name the feeling and wait 10 minutes. If it was earning and never keeping, automate one transfer. If it was keeping pace, cancel the one purchase you only make to be seen. And if it was the last one, the identity, catch yourself saying "I am bad with money" and trade it, out loud, for 4 different words. I am learning this. One habit, one action. This week. An exhausted, end-of-the-month version of you should be able to say your one habit and your one action out loud before this video ends. So do it. Say them now. Because the loop does not break with a huge dramatic change. It breaks the first time you do one small thing the loop told you not to do. And if you recognized yourself in 3 of these, or 5, or if you quietly counted all 7, please hear this next part, because it matters more than anything else I have said. Do not turn tonight into one more reason to feel small. That heavy sink in your stomach right now, that is not the truth arriving. That is the loop trying to close again, sending you straight back to the treat, the turning away, the "I am just bad with money." So look again at what every one of those habits actually was. Hoarding the cash was your brain running from a loss. Looking away was you shielding yourself from a scary number. The waiting, the treat, the keeping up, the belief, every single one was your mind trying to protect you from a loss, or a fear, or a hard feeling, happening right now. It was never stupidity, it was armor. Armor that slowly became the cage. But a loop has one beautiful weakness, and you have already used it, just by watching this far. A loop breaks the moment you can see it, and you see it now. So remember the line. Broke is a loop, not a number. It is not a fixed fact about you, and it was never only about how much you earn. It is a circle of small habits feeding each other, and you can break the circle at any single point, tonight, with one small move you have been afraid to make. Because here is the whole thing in one breath. You do not need more money to start. You need to stop feeding the loop. So this week, do one thing the loop told you not to do. Open the app. Move the $5. Change the sentence. Just one. And then send this to the person you are quietest with about money, the one lying awake on the last night of the month, doing the same math in the dark, because it is almost never spinning in just one person, and it might be the thing that turns their lights on. And once you can name the loop, the next question becomes the dangerous one. Not why you stay broke, but what your mind is quietly doing with the money you do manage to keep. That is exactly where the next video begins. Subscribe, and I will see you inside it.